What is this he, she, some kind of a science fiction deal?
So a few weeks ago, I had put out a community post asking people what annoys them about modern gaming and what they would do to fix it. I had gotten a couple replies to that community post, and before I really get into the video, I want to thank those who did comment on the post. And if anyone missed it or just ended up not seeing it for whatever reason, I know how YouTube can be pretty fucking retarded. So no big deal. If you want to comment on the video what annoys you about modern gaming and what you would do to fix it, feel free to do so. I'll check it out. I'll like the comment, reply to it, whichever one. And if you like these type of videos, or if you like this video in particular, feel free to let me know. I can do more of these type of videos where it's unscripted and I kind of have it be more interactive with the viewers, of my viewers, or whatever the fuck. So the first comment comes from the chosen one, and he had put a very long comment, but despite it being long, it's really good, like legit, like I couldn't have said it better myself. The way he had laid it out and everything. So I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna, of course, give my thoughts on each part. So he writes, "There's honestly many things that infuriate me about modern gaming, and they are as follow. Number one, most AAA developers that were once legendary, Rockstar, Activision, EA, Konami, etc., have been ruined by corporate greed and overall atrocious business practices." This I agree with 100%. There's like so many companies that have gone to shit because they chose greed over making something that's passionate or innovative. And now that's really become a rarity nowadays for the most part, I would say. Some of them do stick to what they are known for. Haven't really gone to the whole corporate greed route. Anyway, so number two, corporate slaves, paid shills and fanboys that defend and suck off these multi-billion-dollar corporations and their awful business practices. These clowns are always spilling period blood in the comments and are a cancer to the game industry. This I agree with as well. I mean, I kind of talked about this before in videos and shit like that, where you see a lot of these people go out of their way, go real hard defending these companies, whether if it's regular people in comment sections or people who have channels dedicated to this type of shit. It's pretty sad when you see so many people go like years of seeing how gaming has gone, and then they just have no real ability to think for themselves and see what's really going on and just speak out against it. Instead, they rather spend a lot of time defending it, and even when a lot of the shit that go, oh, sorry, even a lot of the shit you see is like right in front of your face. So, anyway, number three, where am I at here? Okay, so number three, people often talk about toxic negativity in the game community, but what really pisses me off is the toxic positivity. For those that don't know, toxic positivity is fake positivity and fake hype where idiots are defending and de-sucking, well, I'm gonna say dick sucking, fuck, dick sucking terrible game companies and their clownery. Yes, absolutely. Toxic positivity is very much so a real thing that you see fairly often, and it needs to be called out because really at the end of the day it's a bunch of bullshit where people are just trying to go hard defending again people defending companies for dumb shit, taking like really any game as if it's like an achievement or a crowning achievement, despite it being very mediocre, not innovative at all, and just being a broken game. But then they somehow miraculously find like the like a shining light within the game. Like they find something that somehow just negates everything else that's bad about it. That's painfully obviously bad about the game. And then you just see people who are just constantly trying to spin it into a positive when it's a bunch of bullshit. So, anyway, number 4. Many studios shifting their focus from single player driven experiences to garbage multiplayer or battle royale grind fest. Yes, definitely. I don't understand the idea of where a company would rather put a pretty much soulless multiplayer turn your brain off type of game, especially a battle royale. But those type of games over a single player game. It doesn't even have to be exclusively single player. You can have single player and multiplayer, or like a co-op function or mode or whatever the fuck. You can have something like that if you want. It doesn't have to just be single player, but it's pretty sad when you see so many, you know, only, you know, multiplayer type of games, and they all look the same. They all look the same. Play the same, look the same, function the same. Even when the developer, whoever the fuck it is, trying to do an interview, it's like they're trying to word it differently as if it's not the same thing. We're not stupid. I'm sure a lot of us are not, will not be considered stupid. So I would go as far as to say to people who watch my videos, I don't think they're stupid. I think they're pretty like-minded people that understand what the fuck is going on and aren't just gonna just gobble up everything these companies throw at us just because, you know, we think it's like they're doing a service for us. But definitely agree with that. Number 5, implementation of NFTs. I still don't know what the fuck NFTs are. So, but I regardless of whether if I really even know what it is or not, it's stupid. I think it's a waste of time, waste of money, and I think it's not needed. So definitely agree. Number 6, heavy focus on microtransactions. Oh yeah, definitely. That's something that really needs to be worked on. They need to I would just get rid of it altogether. I think a lot of games suffer from having it because you're locking content, or you're just purposely making a game feel like it's longer because of it. Like, what's the shit? Assassin's Creed, for example. Or other games where it's like, why the fuck does it even have microtransactions like Dead Space 3 or some other shit? A whole bunch of other games have microtransactions, and it's like, why is it even here? And then you start playing the game, it's like, oh, okay, I see. Now I know why, because they purposely made the game function this way. The progress, I should say, when you're progressing within the game, makes sense as to why there will be microtransactions, because they want it to be grindy, last long, and just for you to pay up. Eventually break down and be like, alright, here. I don't want to spend 50 more hours on this game. Here's my money. And number 7. Number 7. Releasing broken games despite them getting delayed multiple times and being in development for almost a decade. Cyberpunk, Crackdown 3, Duke Nukem Forever, etc. Yes, definitely. They need to stop releasing these broken games. Stop announcing them years in advance. It would be better if they just have the game pretty much being like 75% done and then announce it. Especially if there's the possibility that the game will... Oh, this fucking screen. Anyway, the game having a possibility of it being delayed or having any type of issues with development, especially if you have a team that is being mismanaged for whatever reason. And really, it just comes down to, what's that saying? Like, don't count your eggs before they hatch. Don't count the chickens before the eggs hatch, or some shit like that. So, I think it'd be better off if you wait till it's like more than halfway done with the game, and then you announce it, and then maybe a year or even less than a year later, the game releases. Would make sense. I don't know. That's just me. Anyway, but I definitely agree with that. Number 8. Unfulfilled and broken promises. I mean, Cyberpunk and so many other games can definitely fall in that category. Number 9, a terrible slow start to this current gen PS5/series. I know COVID has complicated things a few years back, but many devs are still using that fucking phone, are still using that as an excuse, mainly Microsoft, for why they keep shipping mediocrity, despite the pandemic being pretty much over at this point. Yeah, I agree. Definitely, a lot of these developers need to stop using COVID as an excuse as to why shit is taking forever to come out, or things are being delayed, or they announce something and then it basically goes MIA for a while, because most of these things were even announced during COVID. So if you know it's gonna be a problem, then why even announce it? That's why I think it was a terrible idea for them to even release new consoles in 2020. If anything, should have happened at least 2021, 22 maybe. 22 the latest, I would say. But especially considering a lot of games are kind of like not really taking full advantage of these consoles, I don't think. Still hanging on to last gen. And even if most of them were going to be exclusive to this current generation, I think a lot of them would still be mediocre anyway, and still have the same issues and problems as they already do now, because it's just modern gaming. That's like the thing. It's like it's hard to find developers that really give a fuck and want to do something that really stands out, because that's what we had fucking generations ago, like the 360, PS3, PS2, Xbox, GameCube, PS1 was like the Dreamcast or Sega Saturn, and Nintendo 64, and even before then. So nowadays it's like very hard to find developers that really give a fuck and want to actually innovate. All right, finally we're at number 10. Franchises that were once amazing have turned into a woke shit show. Saints Row reboot being the worst offender of this. Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely one of the worst offenders when it comes down to this. A lot of developers and franchises that seem like they actually had a fucking spine don't have any of that anymore, and it's pretty sad when you see it. It's like, all right, growing up, or getting older, whatever the case may be for some people. You're seeing so many like studios like almost being like unrecognizable because the direction they chose to go into, and it's fucking sad. It really is. It's sad to see some real talented studios just choose to go in this direction, and you think about it, who is this even for? Because it ain't for me. It's not for you. Who's it for? Twitter? Twitter don't play games. Twitter don't play games. They don't play games. They don't buy games. They just act stupid. It's not even so much Twitter exclusively. I mean, that's kind of like the meme. But it's a bunch of these, like, woke activists, fake gamers, fake journalists, whatever the fuck you want to call them. A bunch of fucking fugazis. That's what they are. And these developers need to stop doing that. I know the ESG money is good, but when that is over and done with, if that's the case, if that's ever the case, I should say, then maybe consider that you actually had a audience that enjoyed what you used to do. So the next comment comes from Lord Cosmo, and he writes, "Forced diversity and the message," pride flag emoji, "that needs to be scrubbed completely. It's ruining games by hitting us over the head with unnecessary commentary done in non-interesting and organic way." And definitely, as a gay guy myself, I'm not really interested in the message being forced down and everything, because I don't think you have to pander to a group of people to tell a good story or to sell a game or a product, whatever it may end up being. But in the case of video games, I don't think it's needed. It's been forced. It's been done to death. A lot of companies that you can tell just all of a sudden we're supposed to believe all of a sudden they care, because I guess to them gay people and all that shit existed, just came up in existence a few years ago. So, but we know why. Like, again, look up ESG and you'll see exactly as to why this is happening, why it's being pushed by the same people, and ironically not in certain countries, because some of them don't care. It's not their thing. and that's their choice. We don't need this pushing everything. We don't need it being tossed around everywhere and everything when it's not needed, because it's not interesting. It's not. It's, when has it been interesting? When has it felt organic? When's the last time it was interesting or felt organic? Hasn't. That's the problem. A bunch of these people are fucking hacks. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They just want to pander, and they think that's the best they can do. That's gonna sell the game. That's why people got to speak out against it. And don't worry if people say like, "Oh, you're a homophobe." Like, fuck these people. These people just go off on emotions. They have confused morality, and they ultimately don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because when you throw logic and facts in their face, they got nothing. And then they go back to name calling and a whole bunch of other dumb shit that ultimately goes nowhere. Because you'll end up realizing you're just talking to a wall. Either that or you're talking to someone who is not equipped to debate, not equipped to debunk what you're saying, because most of these people can't. Okay, so the next comment comes from Reborn6H19, and he writes, I gotta agree with Chosen One, Reverend Remnant. I really write down, and bottom of things in modern gaming. I generally dislike it's been us being silenced just because we like attractive fictional character, and it's really bothered me why people need to replace the character's identity or race swap them in every games or movie plus video games in mature ratings, getting concerned over journalists and activists trying to take down YouTubers that are gamers who enjoys videos and entertainment, but trying to force down propaganda in our throats. I'm getting surely tired of this for real. So I kind of get the idea what he's trying to say. And so I agree because let me see what this is again. Okay. So basically, people are trying to, as everyone already knows, how journalists are attacking fictional characters for how they look because they are bothered that developers want to create attractive looking characters, appealing looking characters. And of course, they'll do the whole thing like many other people online will do, where they try to make people like us seem like we're weird or we're the people who are wrong, but at the same time, they're the ones who are trying to stifle others' creativity by making it suddenly become a problem that you have attractive looking characters. Because they don't mind it when the male character is half naked, but let it be a female, and then they want to act like, they're saints and they're doing the world a favor by talking about this. And then at the same time trying to make it seem like everyone else has no life, but yet they're the ones who are trying to push this type of shit. So that's generally what I gather what Reborn is trying to say here, and I agree, because what they end up doing is also trying to silence people for even talking out against this type of shit, because they don't want to be called out for people who basically want censorship, who want to race swap characters or just do some revisionist history bullshit with everything in gaming, entertainment, whatever it may end up being. And that's been a modern trend as of late, as you can see, and it doesn't really work very well for the most part. And I think trying to silence people on that is not the best thing to do. So it's always good to speak out against it and to know you are doing the right thing, because you're not trying to cancel anyone or censor someone's creativity because of your own insecurities or whatever you may think is the right thing to do, even though it's really not. Trying to tamper with someone's vision who's creating something isn't necessarily the right thing to do when at the end of the day they're not hurting anyone by having, say, a character like Cammy from Street Fighter having her original costume, or her original costume even being the default if that was the case. Okay, so next comment comes from Not Your Mother, and I'm not going to read the whole comment because the first part was him replying to Reborn, and he eventually gets to really the point of the community post that I put, so I'm going to read that part. Now the one thing that annoys me the most in modern gaming is reviewers who are not consistent and who, instead of applying factual and transparent criterion, I don't know if that's criticism, criterion, maybe I'm reading that wrong, so if I am, sorry. When scoring a game, are most of the time either using the wet finger approach because they didn't play said game, scoring according to their own preferences, or their own ideology, or even worse, because they're pandering to a company, be it developers, publishers, or the platform the game is on. Yeah, I agree, because that ultimately comes down to them having, I think this, the word is media bias, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that's definitely real, a real thing, where they usually try to play favorites and don't give the same, they don't apply the same approach to other like games or developers because for whatever reason, whether if it's, again, favoritism towards the other developer or game or console, PC, whatever it may end up being. And I think if anything, the game should be reviewed fairly and have basically go through the same type of criteria. It shouldn't be, I'm gonna review this game. I'm gonna review this game differently than this other game for such and such reason. When it should be that you're gonna review the game on its merits alone and what it does right, what it does wrong, and be fair about it and be honest. Because that's what people usually go for reviews. We don't need you to, jerk off to whatever is your favorite company or whatever. If you got money slip underneath the table, whatever it may be. I think that's kind of the issue now, where a lot of people have, where they can't trust a lot of people because of those reasons. So, I agree. Alright, so next one is from the Master of Gaming, and he writes, "Here are the 5 things that irritate me with not just modern gaming but entertainment as a whole. Number 1, companies in general, except some indie studios, don't take as much risk as they used to. Examples like being politically correct, being afraid to offend people, not wanting to challenge the audience, not listening to the true fans, instead pandering to modern audiences, etc." I agree. This kind of goes, is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of similar to what I was saying before and what was going on before with some of the other comments I read. And yeah, a lot of them, they need to, get the balls back, have a spine, and not be afraid to, ultimately be who they want to be who they are, and be true to themselves instead of trying to pretend to be something that they're not because they feel like they want to be virtuous and, of course, get some extra money from higher powers. So, number 2, where is it at? Okay. Number 2, AAA companies focus on graphics and story instead of gameplay and innovation. It baffles me that we have all this technology, yet they don't bring back destruction mechanics except Just Cause 3, 4, and Crackdown 3. Realistic, attractive female characters except King of Fighters series. Yeah, I agree. I think they need more attention to detail in other areas, such as destruction. They focus so much on graphics and being realistic and all this other shit, but then they don't really innovate. That's like the most they want to innovate is like how much pores you can see on the character's face, and if you can, start breathing, you can see their skin move on their stomach or their chest or whatever and shit like that. When it's more than just that. At some point we get it. We've seen graphics go as realistic as they can be, and now we kind of want to see the next evolution of everything else other than graphics. Because there's very few companies that are willing to make those risks and be innovative, and just got to see more of it from other companies, especially AAA companies. So number 3, companies attacking their true fans by calling them ist and phobes. Oh yeah, definitely. This is a modern thing, especially with Western developers, like Naughty Dog, the Volition, whoever. I mean, you can name EA or just a whole bunch of other companies that clearly don't like criticism. That's the thing where it's like you either, if you don't like it, then something must be wrong with you, and It's either you being a racist or homophobe or transphobe or whatever the fuck. And we just have some issues with it. I think that's fair. I think it's fair to understand that not everyone's going to like it. And just because some people don't like it doesn't mean that they're going to be chalked up to, oh, you're a phobe, you're this, you're that. You know. And that's the kind of thing. It's like these people, they don't want to hear no. They don't want to hear criticism. They want everyone to kiss their ass and tell them everything that they do is great and amazing. Which is unrealistic. Alright, and so number 4, toxic, well, it's a very similar thing from the other one. Toxic positivity being rampant in social media. Examples like AGTS, Crimson Mayhem, and those people who say you're overreacting, etc. Yeah, I mean, I kind of went over that before, and you usually see those type of people, even people who are, more well-known or whatever the case may be, is always, we're the ones overreacting, we're complaining about nothing, we have no lives, we gotta touch grass, etc., 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 etc. But, these are the same people who spend a lot of time on the internet themselves, complain about other shit that offends them, and spend a lot of time defending companies for doing dumb shit. So, they'll say, we gotta touch grass, but then, gotta look themselves in the mirror and wonder, maybe they are the ones who have to touch grass? Maybe? I don't know. I guess it's just us who are just, complaining and overreacting. I guess we're the ones with no lives and no sort of shit that they want to say, but then, I guess they're the ones who, where that doesn't apply. Crazy how that works. Number 5, releasing broken and buggy games at launch, then fixing them later. Oh yeah, this is definitely a big issue. And it's crazy when you see it it's mostly from AAA developers with like $1 million to $1 billion budgets and shit like that, where it's like, how does this even happen? Are you that mismanaged? You got all this money, but then it's like, who is calling the shots? Who is managing this game? You have all this time to make this game. You're on these different little gaming expos and conventions promoting the game. You're seeing trailers and ads all over TV, YouTube, websites, and all that shit. And it's like all these YouTubers and whoever gets a chance to get flown out to the studio, play the game, and have all this great shit to say, and then the game comes out a mess. What the fuck is going on? Then, like, how do you feel confident and content with, like, we're gonna put this game out and charge top dollar for it, and then, an apology letter is gonna make it better? Telling people you gotta fix this and gotta add this, you gotta listen to the community. Why couldn't these things have been in the game from the start? Why couldn't it have launched not broken? Like, I don't get that. I don't understand this trend of like releasing the game pretty much half-assed, not even complete, in no way whatsoever, and then fixing it later, and then everyone's supposed to just give these people a round of applause for doing their fucking job and putting something out that should have been working from the start. I don't get it. To me, that's like real goofy shit from people and studios overall. It's just, I don't get it. Okay, so we got 2 quick comments from, I don't know if I'm not gonna say your name properly, so I apologize. Aruj, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce your name. So, open world. Yes, that needs to stop. This is like every fucking game now is open world for no reason, taking forever to finish, and most people don't for good reason, because it's fucking boring. It's forever. It's long. It's not interesting, and it's not needed. It's really not. It's unnecessary. And we got one from Christian Freight. I think I'm pronouncing the last name wrong. So if I'm pronouncing any names wrong or anything wrong, I apologize. So probably should have said that earlier, but I'm saying it now. Anyway, remove microtransactions. Yes, it's kind of similar to what was being said before. Definitely, it's too much. So many games have it. It's unnecessary. Just give us a complete game, because then you start adding in the microtransactions, and it feels incomplete, because it is. Because you're trying to sell me on something else, and you're prolonging the game. You're locking shit behind microtransactions or whatever else it may be. That is unnecessary. A lot of us long for the days of games being complete and we don't have to see any DLC or any type of bullshit like that. Anything being implemented into the game that's gonna end up hampering with the experience. All right, this one comes from Scargut. Scargut? Okay. Half-ass open worlds. I'm looking at you, GTA 5. Okay, this'll piss a lot of people off, but hear me out. What disappointed me about GTA 5 is the fact that most buildings in the open world, such as random shops and restaurants, are just put there for decorations instead of having fully fledged restaurants for your characters to eat there. The fact that you can only rob patrol slash gas stations at gunpoint, while other types of shops can only be robbed by shooting the cash registers. Also, the fact that you can only rob banks and jewelry shops during certain missions instead of them being part of the open world. Also, you can't even enter that certain jewelry shop for customizing your character or robbing it. Oh, here's the other part. Oh, and another one. Oh, and another one. Realistic character moments that end up making them feel sluggish, unlike the PS2 days where they're pretty fast and arcade-like. I don't necessarily understand the last part. What you mean by that? So let me just address the first part, and I would say that this even though that's my phone, even though GTA 5's world is amazing, it's great. You can debate that 4 is better or whichever one, or San Andreas. I wouldn't blame you. But that's neither here nor there. However, yes, there are things like not being able to go into restaurants, things like that, being to really have more interaction with the world. I think that's definitely needed. So hopefully GTA 6 has that. And I think more games in general need to have more interaction with the world. Instead of it just being like, all right, well, maybe you can talk to someone, that's about it. Or they'll have something that's interactive only be exclusive to, say, a mission. Which is kind of annoying. I don't like that. And I think, I think that more games overall need to have that, especially open world games, because you want to have everything feel more lively and really just be more interactive. Feel like you're really a part of that world, and I think that's something that's really missing. A lot of games focus so much on graphics and everything. Why can't we just also focus on having a interactive open world? You want to do all this open world shit, but then you don't really want to make it an interactive world, a lived-in world. You just have it be open just for the sake of it. So hopefully more games actually do that. So we got this next one from YZY Fox. Broken launch. Devs fix it later. Got many more bugs after they fix it. Mind blown and people tired to see it and left. Yeah. So the whole release it broken and fix it later thing definitely needs to stop. I agree with that for sure. The bugs, even sometimes they update the game, it still has issues. Bethesda is known for that, if people don't know. And of course, other developers do that as well. It's not just a Bethesda thing, but a lot of people, get mind blown by they fixed this and did all this other shit, and it's like you should never have been released in this state anyway. So I think that definitely needs to change, and they need to really fix it. It's like I don't understand how they have this big budget and shit, and then it's like they can't even put out a game that works. And then even when they try to fix it, it's still fucked up. That's a big issue. So we got one from JJ. Yearly releases. As an AC fan, this had killed the franchise. Games aren't being given time to breathe, and it's become all about next product mentality. I'd solve it by giving games at least 2 to 3 years before moving on. Build games to last for a long time and satisfy what the fans want instead of having a short-term mindset. Really, it's just dilutes the quality of the product and creates franchise fatigue. Oh yeah, definitely. Assassin's Creed is definitely known for doing this. I agree. As a fan of that series, I didn't play all the games because of that reason. Like, all right, I'm gonna play Assassin's Creed 2. I'll use this as an example. I'm gonna play Assassin's Creed 2. All right, the next year they have Brotherhood. I'm right. What if I didn't get the game right away? What if I'm took a break from it because it is a long game? Took a break from it, went to something else. So, not everyone's gonna stick to the one game until they finish it. Sometimes, that is the case a lot of times, but sometimes people go into something else. Maybe the game is too long. Maybe get to a point where it's kind of like, it's kind of boring, it's slow. Let me take a break for a few days or weeks, maybe months, and get back to it. So, but yeah, they definitely ought to space it out. Not everything has to be yearly. This isn't a sports game where, like Madden or whatever the fuck, where that happens. It's not needed, especially an open world game. Like a game like Assassin's Creed, no need for it to be yearly. You don't have to do that. You can put DLC. That's will actually, make sense to be there as DLC. I don't think you should just put DLC just for the sake of it to prolong the game for whatever reason. But I definitely think that they gotta space it out because you end up getting franchise fatigue, and then it fucks everything up because then they want to change shit, thinking that this is what people want, and ends up not working out. So I agree. They have to stop with the yearly releases when it's not needed. Just space it out. Give people time. Give it a chance to breathe. So I definitely agree with JJ for sure. Okay, so the last one is from Hubcap Ninja. The oversaturation of Souls games need to fucking die. They're all the same and do nothing to change the industry at all. They all feel like I can top Dark Souls / Elden Ring. I want DMC style games to come back, just crazy hack and slash games, or shooters like Kane and Lynch to come back. Is this in milsims? Slash games trying to be like Modern Warfare? Is that what it means? Oh, military sims. I'm sorry. Okay. Military sims / games trying to be like Modern Warfare 2019. Both can go fuck off. I agree. Definitely. Too many Souls-like games. Usually they don't do it right. Some of them do it well. But overall, it just feels, again, like a Dark Souls clone. I think you could try to be more than that. I mean, that's kind of how I feel like with Saints Row 2 or Sleeping Dogs, for example. I'm probably missing other examples of that where it's like, all right, it's not a GTA clone. It's something more that kind of makes it different to stand out. So, and Kane Lynch is a good Kane and Lynch is a good game. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. Kane Lynch is a good game for sure. That definitely needs to come back. Games like that need to come back, like regular third-person shooters that aren't open world RPGs. So DMC style type of games. Yeah, we definitely need more of those hack and slash over the top action games. It's one reason why I really enjoy Yakuza, for example, and why I even felt that Devil May Cry 5 was a breath of fresh air because at the time and even now, you're still seeing so many open world games or Souls-like games, battle royales, and all this other shit. Just the same thing over and over again. So when you see something like a Devil May Cry or whatever other type of game may be, where it's something that is different or something that you rarely see nowadays, it's so refreshing because a lot of times it's not even so much that it's refreshing because you haven't seen it in a while, it's because it actually is a good game. In the case of Devil May Cry 5, it was a very good game, great game. And so many other games that I think if they were to come back, I think come back in the right way, not come back in the sense that we're going to try to be something like what everyone else is trying to do now, just be what it needs to be, what it's known for being. Like if Kane Lynch came back and it stays true to what Kane Lynch is known for, then I think a lot of people would actually enjoy it because we need games like that to come back. We need more of those games. Too much of this oversaturation of the same shit from the same people, and there's little innovation. And with that, that's the last of the comments. So I want to once again thank everyone who did comment on the community posts, and anyone who didn't. If you want to let me know what annoys you about modern gaming and what you would do to fix it, feel free to let me comment below. you have any suggestions for other videos or anything similar to this, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Regardless, I appreciate everyone who's checked out this video, and the continued support and interactions and all that. I appreciate it. And with that being said, I'm out until the next one. Have a great day. Peace.